Look at that. This is exciting, guys, and I'm going to tell you just what this blob is here right now. So as many of you know, we're not new to making cheese. We had goats years ago and we milked our goats, and we're a little sad when we got rid of them, but we made a plan. We were going to milk the sheep this year, right? I mean, how many years have I said that? We're going to milk the sheep. We're going to milk the sheep. And something always comes up. Well, guess what? This year, we're milking sheep. So the first thing that we have experimented with making is soft cheese. Kind of like a farmer cheese, I guess you could call it. Basically what you're doing is taking your milk and you're adding lemon juice or some sort of acidic like vinegar to it to basically make it curdle and get a soft cheese similar to a cream cheese or that sort of thing. And we've done this before. Here is a block of our goat's cheese. And yes, this came out of the freezer. It's got to be 6 years old. But that is what we used to produce from our goat's cheese with a liter of milk. But this time I used 2 liters of our sheep milk, and wow, what a difference. I'm super excited about the sheep milking thing because I'm determined to make it work. I'm not getting cows and I'm not going back to goats. So we're trying it out, and there is a whole story behind why we have 1 sheep we're milking, and maybe we'll put that in a different video. But for now, she's producing us 1.5 liters almost a day, and that means I get to make some cheese. So to be honest, we're already almost to the end of the process. So as this video goes on, I'm going to make another round and we're going to show you it step by step. But what we have here is our curdled cheese, and I'm going to lift it out of here and show you how much we got out of just 2 liters of sheep milk. Look at that. That's like 4 times what we got out of the goats. So I'm curious to see if this is maintainable. We will find out when we do our next 2 liters. If it produces the same again. Before I can make another round of this and show you guys step by step, we need to go and milk a sheep. So, as you can hear, we're out in the barn, the sheep want out, but we have to milk Enya first. Now, a little backstory on this, just as a quick thing. Enya did lose both her twins this year, pretty much right at birth, and so we've been milking her since. So we're now 6 days in, getting that 1.5 liters roughly. We milk her 3 times a day, but it is a struggle because we don't have our stand or the setup at all yet. So here we're gonna show you just how the milking process is right now. So basically this is the process. I sit on the floor, Christopher holds her, and we attempt to milk. And this is Val, he's come to visit. Lots of lambs in this stall. I know this is awkward filming, but this is the process. It is not feasible long term to milk this way with all the other sheep running around us and struggling to sit on the floor and get clean milk. But so far, for 1 sheep, it hasn't been horrible. But as you can see, look at that. It is so simple to milk the sheep. I am really hoping everybody's going to be like this. So there we go. That's this morning's milk from her. As you can see, we've got a little bit of foam in this one, so it probably only equaled about the 2 cups, but that's what we've been getting every milking pretty much from Enya. And so that's pretty good in my books. 1.5 liters out of a sheep in a day. I'll take it. We are just packaging up the first batch, which, like I said, I'm going to go through all this process again. But an interesting little tidbit, I guess you could say, was we did a taste test. I'm going to do another one here just to show you. So it's very crumbly compared to what we had before, which I kind of like. And it's very, very, very sweet tasting. It's actually really good. This with some red pepper jelly or mint jalapeno jelly on top with crackers would be so good. As you can see, we have been working away at making this cheese. We've also been eating some of this cheese, but I have 8 blocks so far, and we're going to keep going. The one thing that I think is interesting is as we get further into the milking cycle, I guess you'd say, I'm curious to see whether it ends up whiter. This could have had little bits of colostrum, things like that in it, because like I said, we were milking a sheep that lost her babies. So you've seen us collecting the milk. You've seen a little bit of the process here and our excitement at how well this is going and the taste. But now we're going to go into a bit more detail. And basically what you're going to start with is roughly 2 liters of milk. That's what I use. It works nice in my small pot. It heats up quickly, which allows me to do this quite quickly and get on with other things for the rest of the day. You could upscale or downscale this as much as you'd like, but we're going to talk right now in 2 liter increments. I made a mess all over the counter. Doesn't always pour super nice out of the jars. But basically we're just going to get the 2 liters in here, and we need to bring this to 190 degree. You don't want it to boil. We're just going to get it to the 190, and then basically you're adding lemon juice and vinegar once we get there. All right, so we are at 190. You definitely want to be stirring this pretty much constantly at this point. Otherwise it does get a burnt kind of scum at the bottom. So definitely stirring is important. But now we're going to take it off the heat, and it's really simple. We're going to add salt, lemon juice, and vinegar. So to our 2 liters of milk that's at 190, we're going to add half a teaspoon of sea salt. I'm going to just stir that in a little bit before, because as soon as that lemon juice goes in, this is going to start to curdle. A 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Going to get Chris to just zoom in here. I don't know if you can actually see it, but just pouring that lemon juice in, we've already got curdling happening on top. Now you could do this just with that 1/4 cup of lemon juice. It would work. We like the lemon juice over vinegar because of the flavor. It kind of gives that citrusy sort of edge rather than a vinegary edge. But I do add 1 tablespoon of vinegar to this just to guarantee I've got the acid I need to maximize the amount of curds that this creates. So that's next, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. So now I'm just going to kind of give this a light stir just to incorporate that acid. And then we're going to let it sit for a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes for that curd to really separate before we strain it. So as you saw when we started making this here, I've already got my frozen cheese lining into these wonderful dollar store finds. They work perfectly and they hold 10 each. And as I mentioned, we eat a lot of cloud bread here, and this cheese is what we use to make our cloud bread. So the goal is to have 40 of these blocks of cheese put away this year. And this is our first year really focusing on milking sheep. Now, we've done this previously with goat's milk, which you could definitely use this exact same recipe with goat's milk. Not sure on the cow milk part, you'd have to kind of experiment with that because we've never done it. But definitely goat's milk works fine. But this is our first year milking the sheep. And the one thing we said, if we can at least create the, quote, cream cheese that we use for the cloud bread, that is saving us so much money just in that. So hopefully we can put away all the cheese we need for this year for that purpose, and then move on to maybe making yogurt with it or freezing the milk for future yogurt. I do want to also try making feta, which I have done with the goat cheese as well. So it'll be interesting to see the difference between that and the sheep. All right, so moment of truth here. We have been the allocated time, probably a little bit more actually because we stopped for lunch, but it definitely has the curdles. As you can see, it's a little bit more white than what our last batches were. So I'm very curious to see how this turns out and how much we actually get from it and the whey. But what we're going to be using is our plastic cheesecloth. This is wonderful. You can order this from almost any cheese making supply company. I use this for everything. It is wonderful. It strains everything great. But now we're just going to pour it into our colander lined with this cheesecloth and see what we get. Here we go. Don't make a mess, right? It's splattering everywhere. It definitely made a lot still. I'm excited for that. Oh, let's just go fast. We're going to overflow. This is going to be a 2-man operation, and I need my cameraman's help. So we'll bring him back when we have it straining. So for now, we're just going to put this whey into a 1-quart jar. It's still straining, but I think we've got at least a liter back. Not quite, but just about a full liter of whey already. And as you can see, it is straining off in here well. And basically you want to let this drain for at least an hour. 2 hours if you want it to be more like a crumbly type feta thing that would go on top of salads. But we tend to wrap it up earlier because we want it more of a log that stays together similar to a cream cheese, right? So we're going to bring it back when this has had some time to continue straining. All right, so our cheese has strained out and we are ready to package it up. So as you can see, we'll do a zoom in clip right here, but it is a little bit wetter, more like a ricotta almost. All right, so we usually package these in 5-ounce portions because that makes 2 batches of cloud bread for us. I like to put about 2.5 ounces of the cheese in our cloud bread. And basically it is super simple. I just roll it up and mush as I roll. You can see it going kind of cream cheese like. So you could also run this through a blender. You'd really get a cream cheese consistency, but I find in my blender I lose so much of it that it's not worth it. So there we go, 5-ounce block. We're gonna see how many we get out of this. All right, so we've got it all packaged up. We ended up with 4 of the 5-ounce portions, so that's 20 ounces. 16 ounces is a pound, so we're 1.25 pounds. Not too bad. And a little bit left over, almost 2 ounces, which I'm actually going to add some salt, pepper, and some Italian seasoning to. We're going to put that on our omelets in the morning. This might not make it to the omelets tomorrow.